Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Extraordinary Talk Show with your host, Stella Hill. Welcome back, all my extraordinary friends. I have a great show for you today. At least I hope it is. You tell me after it's done if you liked it or not. Today's topic is by request. My sister, Carrie, I have 3 sisters and 3 brothers in case I talk about them a lot. My sister, Carrie, has been watching the show, listening to the show, and had a lot of questions. So she asked me to talk more about visualization meditation. And the reason that she did is because my other sister, Lily, took a test recently at work. It was a very important test. She has to be able to pass it in order to do her job. And these tests have a lot of people tend to fail them when they're doing these tests. So she was really, really nervous. And she decided to do a visualization about passing her test in order to help her do that. And she explained it to one of her coworkers, who, by the way, had just failed the test. And the coworker said, "Oh, that's stupid. Why would you do that?" And my sister Lily said, "Well, it might sound stupid, but if it helps, I'm going to try." And Lily did take the test, did pass the test. The fail point was 70, and she passed with over 80. So she passed with more than enough breathing room to get the certification and be very, very pleased with herself. So I'm really, really proud of Lily for that. And I love that she was able and willing to give this a try. And if you do, you might find some amazing results too. To start talking about it, visualization goal setting. You can call this mental rehearsal or visual goal setting. One thing, it doesn't matter what you call it, as long as you do it, you might find yourself very surprised by what you can accomplish, what you can bring to your life through visualization. Visualization is incredibly powerful. We don't give it enough credit. It's powerful in meditation, in goal setting, and in many, many parts of our life that help us a lot. And I'll talk more and more about that. For some people, visualization doesn't come easily or naturally. Typically, not always, but typically, it's mostly men that struggle more with visualization. Men and women, sorry to say, are not exactly equal. We both have traits and talents and abilities and skills that make us wonderful. But there are male energies and female energies that make some things easier or harder. For example, my younger brother, Vaughn, he doesn't visualize unless he does it on purpose. For most of you, if I say, okay, don't think of a pink elephant, the first thing that's going to come into your mind is a pink elephant. For my brother Vaughn, it's different. When I say don't think of a pink elephant, the words and the letters to the words pink elephant appear in his mind. He sees PINK elephant. He had to learn to see it as an image in order to make this work, in order to try this. And it took him a long time to realize that that was something other people could do and did automatically, and he didn't. And guess what? I've talked before about how all of our brains work differently, and that's wonderful. That's great. It's so awesome that Vaughn's brain works differently because he's an engineer. He has skills and abilities that make him wonderful with his skill set. And part of how he does that is how he thinks through things, either using visualization or not using visualization as it serves him. One of my favorite historical people that we know visualized a lot and got a lot of benefit from his visualization was Nikola Tesla. I actually didn't know a lot about Nikola Tesla until a few years ago. And for Christmas a few years ago, my niece got this really cool t-shirt that says, Edison drools, Tesla rules. And that made me curious, so I actually had to go in and look up and find out about Nikola Tesla, who was amazing. And if you don't know about Nikola Tesla, I encourage that you do, that you learn about him, partly just because he's a critical part of our history. He is so much of the reason that you have a cell phone, because if you didn't have electricity, that cell phone wouldn't work. And it was his research in alternating current that got us to be able to have basic electricity. Yes, I know that what's his name? The other guy, Edison, Thomas Edison, did a lot of wonderful things, but he worked on DC current, direct current, and Tesla worked on alternating current. And without Tesla's work on alternating current, we would not have the power grid system that we have. And if we'd followed more of his stuff, we'd actually have a lot of other things. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't great at marketing. However, he did visualize all the time, all the time. He did this as a child where he would daydream. He just daydreamed all the time. And as he grew up, he did something that most children don't do. He maintained his daydreaming. Most of us grow out of it. And I love children's minds because they're so open. They're so impressionable. They can learn so much. And they can visualize, pretend, play, unless there's somebody like my brother Vaughn, who even as a kid didn't daydream because he didn't visualize as a child, which is really interesting. But Tesla did. Nikola Tesla daydreamed, had crazy daydreams as a kid, and he kept on doing that. Maybe he lived at a time and a place when it wasn't discouraged, and good for him, because how many times do we tell our kids to get their heads out of the clouds and get back to work? Maybe we need to let them keep their heads in the clouds a little longer. In fact, I think all of us should have our heads in the clouds more. Nikola Tesla did what we now call the Tesla code. When he was alive, I'm sure he didn't call it that. He probably had other ways of naming it. He said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration." What he did, he probably didn't even call it meditation, but he would allow himself to daydream, to visualize, to what I would call go into a trance in order to see things. When he first built his alternating current motor, he didn't build it in his lab. He built it in his head. He built every single piece of it in his head, right down to the connectors, the oil that would be needed to make everything flow smoothly. And not only that, after it was built in his head, he turned it on in his head and let it run in his head for 3 months. At the end of a 3-month period, he went back in his head, took the motor apart, and looked to see what parts were wearing too quick, what parts weren't holding together well, and what parts were. And that way, when he went to his lab and actually built the motor, he already knew exactly how it would work. He already knew what parts needed to be reinforced and strengthened in order to maintain them. Before he even put it together, he had had the whole thing running in his head and run diagnostic checks on it over the course of 3 months. That's pretty cool if you ask me. When we daydream, when we visualize, we take something from our mind and we begin to make it real. Now that sounds crazy, I know. It did to me when I first learned about this kind of thing. But I want you to try something with me. Close your eyes, unless you're driving. Please don't do it if you're driving. And imagine that you are taking a big bite out of a lemon. You can smell the peel as you pull the lemon apart. And when you put it in your mouth, you immediately feel the tartness, the sharpness of the acid. Do you feel it? Can you taste it? Tell me something. Is your mouth watering? Mine isn't. I'm just talking about it. Because when you put that idea into your head, it goes from a physical idea of imagining, thinking about eating a lemon, to having a physical response. If you ask me, that's pretty cool. We do that all the time. We see something that makes us scared, our heart rate goes up, whatever. But that's reaction. What I want you to do is learn to do this on purpose to make the reaction happen. So I'm going to go back to another old favorite, which is good old Albert Einstein. And he said this: everything is energy. That's all there's to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Unquote. Albert Einstein. So when I talk about picturing something as a goal in order to make it happen, you might think, okay, that's kind of crazy. There's actually a lot of science, and some of the science I can't explain because I don't understand it. But there is science that tells us when you think of something, you get a result. If you're thinking about eating a lemon, your mouth will water. If you think about passing a test, you do have a greater result and a greater chance at success passing that test. We've talked a little bit about the double slit test, and I'll put a link to that in the description because I don't want to go into it too much, and really there's other videos that explain it better. What the double slit test taught us is that when you put your focus and attention on an issue, you get a different result. We know that because scientists were passing electrons through slots in a board. And when they just let it do it, it got one result. When they put a monitor on the board to see what slot the electrons would go through, or if they would at all, when there was a monitor there was a different result. Nothing else was changed in the whole experiment other than that it was being watched. When attention and focus was put on the experiment, it had a different result. This is a real thing. When you put attention and focus on a thing, you get a different result. The more attention and focus you put on it, the more the result changes. So when it comes to visualizing for goal setting, you might also do this for manifestation. And I have another video about the one-man Maharishi effect, which is a fantastic way to manifest with visualization for manifestation. I'll put that link too. You can literally picture something and make it happen. It takes practice, and you got to start small. The reason you have to start small is because most of us don't believe that we can make something big happen. Once we make small things happen, we get used to that, we get comfortable with that, and then we can build some faith, build some confidence, recognize our own worthiness in having these things happen, and have more of them happen. So how to do it? I want to tell you, your mind is a supercomputer. Supercomputer. There are things that your mind is capable of that you have no idea. Let's start here. This is a new program for your supercomputer to run. Your supercomputer is more than capable of managing this program and excelling at it. But like any program, you have to learn it. It takes a little bit of time to learn. So let's talk about that. And if we have time, we'll do a little practice. First of all, you've got to figure out what it is you want. I actually have a voice in my head that asks me regularly, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? When you know what it is that you want, maybe it's something simple like being able to pass a test. Maybe it's a life change. You want a new job. You want a new relationship. You want a family. You want all different things that you have now. Whatever it is, decide what you want. One of the number one key elements in getting what you want in life is asking for it. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. When you do ask, you'll be surprised how much the answer is yes. First of all, you have to ask. On my show, I try to speak in vague, generic terms in a manner that will kind of connect with everybody, no matter what your belief system is, because I absolutely respect your belief system as it is. So if I say something that isn't a verbiage you use for your belief system, just translate it back to how you would say it for you. It does apply to you. So when we are asking, and so doing that, I'm probably going to use the term universe when I mean God or source or a lot of those things, because those can be kind of grouped together. So just for simplicity's sake, we're going to call it the universe. There are things that the universe wants you to have. The universe loves you and wants you to be happy. It wants to give you all this stuff. You are worthy of it. You deserve it. You just have to ask. It is crucial that you ask. You got to start there. First of all, if you don't know what you want, how can you ever get what you want? 2, once you figure out what you want, you have to ask for it. So start with figuring out what exactly it is that you want. Close your mind, close your eyes, and picture that thing. Picture it in perfection. Now, if this is a process, for example, my sister taking the test, one part of her visualization was seeing herself sitting down to take the test with confidence, with her heart rate level, her breathing rate level, knowing that the answers were just going to come to her, and then the feeling of having the answers come to her, the feeling of filling out the test, feeling excited, feeling happy, knowing that she was going to do really well, knowing that she knew the answers, with confidence about herself and her knowledge and her ability to do well on this test. Then visualize the end, the result, which for my sister is knowing that she passed the test, getting the results that she passed the test, seeing her score, feeling that happiness and that joy and that gratitude. Those emotions are a very important piece of this recipe. Many of us hide from our emotions. Our emotions are really, really critical, and we should pay more attention to them and put more focus into them when we can. This is a time when you're visualizing, when your emotions are incredibly powerful. They make it more and more real. When we ask the universe for something, the more specific we can be when we ask for it, the easier it is for the universe to bring that to us. Just like if you're buying a present for someone and let's say money's no object, you can get them whatever they want. You're going to want to know exactly the details of the things that they want. You don't just want a new house. You want a new house with a big kitchen and white cabinets and gray countertops and a 3-car garage and a huge master bath, right? They're specific. So when you're visualizing, be specific. See all the parts of it. Let's go with a house. Let's say you want a new house. See everything. See the pool in the backyard. See the home office. See the towels stacked up in the closet. See the pantry full of food. Be as specific as you can. If you're visualizing a new house, walk through that house in your head. See what's behind every door. Look in every cupboard. The more specific you can be, the better. This isn't greedy. It's getting what the universe wants you to have. There is so much abundance in the world. We all deserve it. There's enough abundance for every single person in the world to have everything that they need, have every physical need met, and then have over and above. It's allotted to you. It's set aside for you. The universe is just waiting for you to ask for it and bring it to yourself. So visualize. Details, be very specific. As you're visualizing, be aware of your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? Do you hear people telling you congratulations? If you're walking through your new house, can you hear the air conditioner running? Look at the colors. What bright colors are in that environment? Do you have beautiful flowers in the yard? Is there beautiful paint, beautiful furniture? What colors, what things draw your attention as you visualize it and look around? The more you do this, it gets really interesting because at first you realize you're putting all of those things there. You think, okay, what am I hearing? Oh, I would probably hear the air conditioner. Okay. As you do it and you get along, you think, what am I hearing? And all of a sudden, you're hearing the birds chirping outside. You're hearing the TV on in the back room. You're hearing the kids running around the house and playing. And those aren't things that you asked, what would I hear? They just automatically came to you. Those pieces are part of your ultimate goal. And that's a really great sign that you're doing the right thing when those things start just coming to you without you having to search for them. If they don't at first, that's okay. Just keep going with it. But the more specific you can be, the more you can be aware of. Be aware of all of your senses. What can you see, taste, hear, feel? And emotions. Being in that house, walking around that house, knowing it's perfect, knowing it's yours, what emotions do you feel? Every time you can bring a new sense or another thing into that visualization, it makes it that much more powerful. It really, really does. And one of the most critical emotions that you can feel when you're doing this is gratitude. Gratitude and joy. See yourself passing that test. See yourself in your new house and feel the gratitude for it. Feel yourself so happy to have achieved that goal. Achieving the goal sometimes seems so far away that we don't let ourselves enjoy it yet. We hold back and we think, oh no, I haven't gotten it yet. I can't be happy about it yet. If you ask me, that's kind of silly. And here's why. If you ask God for help in your life, let's say that you ask for help paying off your student debts. You may not have one thing happen in one day and have them paid off. Chances are it's going to take a little while. You might be that good. You might, manifest the lottery or something, and good for you. But if you're like the rest of us, some of these things take time to come to fruition. So let's say that your goal is to pay off your student debt. Find a picture of something that makes you think of that, or find your own image in your own head of debt paid off, zero balance, whatever it is in your mind that you can see, that you can feel. Okay. Now, you might even have a plan to pay off all of these student debts in 5 or 10 years. Don't wait for those debts to be paid off to start being grateful. Remember, when you ask for help, that help starts immediately. It starts now. So if you're going to pay your debts off in 5 years instead of 10 and you're thrilled about that, would you wait for 5 years to pass before you say thank you for the help you've been getting? The minute you ask, you start getting help. I promise you do. Why would you wait before you have the whole thing done that might take 5 years before you start giving gratitude for that? Start being grateful immediately because the help is coming immediately. I went through this a few years ago when I was looking for a new job and a new house. And even though I was in Virginia when I did that, actually Virginia's that way, and I was moving to Utah, I didn't know where I was going to work. I didn't know where we were going to live, but I knew it was going to work out. And I started being grateful before I even got to Utah, because I knew that my plans were already in action. I knew that my house was already there. It was waiting for me. It was just a matter of the right moment for me to find it. And maybe I'll tell you the longer story another time, but I did. I found the exact perfect house for me and my family with every detail I was asking for. And one of the critical parts was I visualized it. Another critical part was I started being grateful immediately. Another thing is, when we're doing this, your right side of your brain is the part that is visualizing, that's creating. The left part of your brain is the one that's going, I don't know if this really works. Humans aren't magic. We don't get to do these kind of things. This is just a bunch of woo-woo that you hear on TV. And that side of your brain is going, blah, 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 trying to tell the right side that what it's doing isn't working. You got to be able to shut that left side up, because if you believe that more than you believe that you can actually have this thing, that's what'll win. If you believe you can, you can't. If you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. You got to commit your focus and your belief on making it happen. Now, here's the trick. When that doubt comes in, when that part starts talking, blah, 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 it's not going to work, one way to shut it up is to go straight to that place in your mind where you know you have accomplished this. Even if it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, go immediately to that place where you can feel the success, where you can feel the achievement. Not just the gratitude building up to it, but actually the gratitude and fulfillment of having it achieved. Go to that place in your head. Be there fully. Feel the emotions, feel the joy, be proud of yourself. Hear the people congratulating you. See the reward that you're going to get. And here's why. Because doubt and achievement cannot exist at the same time. So when that doubt comes in, the best way to kick it out is by immediately going to achievement. Feel the feeling of achievement. Visualize that achievement. Why don't we I only have a couple minutes left, but let's do this just for a minute. If you have something in your mind, it could be a bottle of water. It could be anything. Oh, look, I have one. Picture it. Imagine it. Maybe something bigger. Maybe winning the lottery. Maybe that's one that we just go to all the time. Whatever is important to you. Now close your eyes, unless you're driving. See yourself accomplishing that goal. See yourself in the midway point working towards it. Maybe you're studying for the test. Maybe you're saving your money. Whatever you're doing midway, it could be things you haven't even started yet. See yourself midway. Feel the joy of achievement. Recognize what you've accomplished. Look around you. As you're visualizing that, what do you see? What people are there? What rewards do you have? What things have come to you because you achieved this goal? And very, very importantly, who can you help? Now that you have this, who else is going to benefit other than you? Because your benefit is wonderful, but it's even better when other people are going to be benefited as well. That's really what it's all about, is not only blessing ourselves, but by finding blessings for ourselves, being able to share them with others. So as you look around inside your mind, first you were looking at midway process. Now jump to the end. See your goal accomplished. See it achieved. See yourself standing there in the knowledge that you did it. You did it. All that hard work, all that effort, all that time was worth it. You did it. Feel that joy, feel that pride, feel that expansion inside you. You might even want to put your arms out and cheer because you're so happy. You're so proud of yourself for what you've accomplished. Immediately go there and spend as much time as you want focusing on that. If you could do 15, 20 minutes a day visualizing, that'd be amazing. And if you have that much time, I guarantee you, you'll get it back. If you put 15 minutes of time into your visualization every day, you will get more than 15 minutes back in productivity during the day. This has been studied and proven. However, if you don't have 15 minutes, that's okay. Do 2. If you don't have 2 minutes, that's okay. Do 15 seconds. Just close your eyes, see your goal, feel your happiness, feel your joy. There's nothing you can't ask for. Except do ask for good things. Ask for things that will help you and help the people in your life. And don't give up. Sometimes doing the impossible sounds hard, but it really just takes a little longer. And that's Della with The Extraordinary Talk Show. Thanks for joining me.